Welcome to this video. I am Mr. John from explainingmaths.com, and together in this video we're going to solve an entire past maths exam, paper 22, October-November 2015. And on the actual exam you'll have 90 minutes to complete the exam, which is plenty of time, so you have all the time in the world to write down all your workings and to check your answers whether they make sense or not. Please visit my website explainingmaths.com, because you need to realize we're only solving a past paper as preparation for your own actual exam. However, on my website you will find me explaining all those topics in more detail, and everything is for free, so please have a look. Share and like this video if it was useful, so I can reach more of your friends too. So we're going to start now, and before we start we have a look. So give answer in degrees to 1 decimal place. So make sure to do that properly, and if the degree of accuracy is not specified and your answer is not exact, give the answer to 3 significant figures. Now, before you actually start the exam, you're going to have a look at all the questions, so don't just dive into it and start answering question 1 on your own exam. Take a minute or 2 or 3 to go through the exam, have a look at the questions, what are they expecting from you, so you know before you start roughly the questions you are going to be answering. Okay, so now it's time for us to start, so let's turn the page. I'll see you there. Finally, we can start. First question is write down, so no working involved, so for 1 point, just the answer. Write down the difference in temperature between 8 and minus 9 degrees Celsius. So a question about directed numbers, many times the exam starts with that. So what is the difference? Think about a number line, or put in your calculator 8 minus 9, difference, so you subtract. The answer is 17. Don't say minus 17, please. No, the answer is 17. Question 2, we see 3 shapes, a parallelogram. Yeah, that's a parallelogram. A trapezium, 1 pair of parallel sides, and the rhombus, it's like a parallelogram, but then all the lengths are equal inside. All the lengths are equal in size, I should say, sorry. Write down which one of these shapes has, again, write down, so no workings, rotational symmetry of order 2, and in bold, and whenever you see something in bold, you should be shouting to yourself mentally, and no line symmetry. Fine, no line symmetry. Now let's start with the rotational symmetry. So if I would rotate the shape 360 degrees, it should look the same twice. Okay, so if I look at the parallelogram, if I rotate it 180 degrees, it will look the same again. And back to 360, its original position. So this has indeed order 2, rotational symmetry. Trapezium, if I rotate it, it will never look the same except for the final or initial position. So not order 2. The rhombus also, if I rotate it 1 full turn, will look the same twice. So far we have the parallelogram and the rhombus left. But then it says, and it cannot have line symmetry. Well, the rhombus clearly has line symmetry. And you should know that the parallelogram, although some of you think it has, but it actually does not have any line symmetry. Okay, or yeah, so your answer should be parallelogram. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to try to write it as neatly as I can. Parallelogram. There you go. Yeah, move on. Carlos changed $950 into euros. Great currency. When the exchange rate was €1 is a little bit more dollars. Calculate how many euros he received. So the euro is basically more expensive, so you should get less euros for those dollars, because we are sometimes confused. Should we multiply or divide? Well, you should get less, so I must divide. This is for 2 points. Calculate. So I want to show some workings. 950 divided by 1.368 equals, I'm grabbing my calculator here, 950 divided by 1.368 equals, because I want to write down all my decimals, 694, because always write down all the decimals before you start rounding 4. Now this is money. It's not exact, so officially 3 significant figures, 694, but you will be allowed to say and 44 cents, money 2 decimal places. Fantastic. Moving on, a vector vector AB minus 3, 5, so 3 to the left, 5 up, find, and then in those vertical lines it means the magnitude of that vector. Now find, show all relevant workings. You should realize that AB, so if I have point A here, minus 3, 5, then point B is there, and on that hypotenuse, if you like, oh, that's a very bad line. Guys, I can't write properly with my pen, but that is a line, there we go. That is the magnitude. This is 3, that is 5. So to find it, it's Pythagoras theorem, 5 squared plus, if you like, in brackets, minus 3 squared. So it's going to be 25, I'm grabbing my calculator now, plus 9, of course, that is 34. So let me just write down square root of 34. Square root of my answer equals, and again I want to write down all my decimals, 830951895, and then I simplify to 3 significant figures, 5.83. Right, let's move on to the next page. I'll see you there. Already at question 5, please like and share, ladies and gentlemen, if it is useful, then I can reach more of your friends. What's going on? They say to calculate the volume of a hemisphere with radius 5 centimeters. Now a sphere, as you know, is a football or an orange, some 3-dimensional circle. So a hemisphere is half of it. So if you cut, well, hopefully the orange, not the football, but if you cut it in half, that will be a hemisphere. Now they give me the formula for the volume, which is 4/3 times pi, that's times, ladies and gentlemen, times the radius cubed. So they give me the radius. Be careful, sometimes they give the diameter, so you've got to divide that by 2. No, now they give me the radius, 5 to the power of 3. That will be for a sphere, so I'm going to divide that by 2 or times it by a half, which is the same for half a sphere, a hemisphere. In my calculator, 4/3. I've got to do that properly, 4/3 times pi times 125, which is 5 to the power of 3, equals, divided by 2, equals, and I'm going to write down all the decimals, 261.7993878, and then I round to 3 significant figures, which is 262. There you go. Let's move on. The Venn diagram. Sorry, I just want to move that up a little bit. There we go. The Venn diagram shows the number of students who study French, Spanish, and Arabic. Let's have a look before we start answering those questions. French, Spanish, and Arabic. That's the universal set. So 0 people outside of those 3 languages, so everybody is inside. Fantastic. Then they say find n, so the number, the amount, A, union, and then the intersection of F and S. Now that is, for 1 point, I have to say, that's not very generous, because that's not easy. How do I approach it? Have a look at, like BitMass, at the brackets first. We look for F and S. And I'm going to put that is what that means, that intersection has to be French and Spanish. So I'm going to put a little mark there. So on the 4 and the 1. There you go. So that's F and S. Now I go outside of those brackets, or union, or in A. So or in A, so in F and S, or in A, and A, that's all of, oh, I want to shade it, sorry, like here, here, and here. So we're talking about that. So how many? Because they say n, the number. So we have 8 plus 2, which is 10, 13, 14, plus 4, 18 is the answer. Yeah. So I shade it a little bit, or you put a little cross on your exam, which you, because you want to make sure that you can get rid of those shaded areas. All right. That was just to help you to answer the first question. The second question, it says on the Venn diagram, we actually have to shade the region, and they say F apostrophe intersecting S, and that means the complementary set of F and in S. So everything outside of F and in S. If I shade that now properly, let's say in blue, so outside of F, so it cannot be in F, So I'm going to put a little dot, everything outside of f. Look at that, that's all of that is outside of f. Okay, but it also has to be in S. So I look at where are my blue dots in S, and that is the part that I'm going to shade now. And you have to, ladies and gentlemen, this is an official exam, so make sure you shade it nicely and neatly. So not like me now, but this is on the tablet. But sometimes you see students shading and you're like, come on, you can do better than that. So can I. So you don't want to go outside of those lines. But this is the shaded area. And make sure that all those other dots or crosses that you've used, you erase them again because they cannot be there in your Venn diagram. All right, let's go to the next page and have a look at the questions there. So the first question, it is about matrices. Well, I'm getting an email now, I'm not sure if you can see that, but okay, now I can see the question again. Matrices, Mn, which means the multiplication of matrix M times N. Now, there's the best way to do that is first to write down the order. So this is a 2 by 2, and that is a 2 by 2. And you can only multiply matrices with each other if those inner numbers are the same. And they are the same, they're both 2, so I can multiply them. It would also be quite strange if they give a question that you actually can't answer. But what is more useful is that after the multiplication you should get a matrix of order 2 by 2, the outer numbers. And that is really useful to know. And that's why really you have to check that. Because then I'm going to put some dots down, because I know already that my answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, so how do we multiply matrices? Write down 3 minus 4 minus 2, 4. So that's the first matrix, like that. And then a nice cross. There we go. And then over here, the other matrix, 5, 0, 1, 2. So that's not 50 and 12, that's 5, 0, 1, 2. And why do I do that? Because that reminds me how or in which direction to multiply. 4 dots there, because that's going to be my answer, a 2 by 2 matrix. I'm going to start with this piece of information. So why did I write it down like this? Because I have to go horizontally here and vertically for the second matrix. So I'm going to do 3 times 5, 15, plus minus 4 times 1. 15 minus 4, that is going to be 11. There you go, 11. Second piece of information, so still horizontally, but now I go for the second column. 3 times 0 is 0, plus minus 4 times 2, it's going to be minus 8. Moving down, this one, minus 2 times 5, minus 10, plus 4, that's going to be minus 6. Let me put that there. And then the last one over here, that's going to be 0 plus 8, so 8. Fantastic. Make sure to write your final answer here, where you have to 11, minus 8, minus 6, and 8. Question 8, explainingmaths.com. So still make sure to check my website where I explain this in more detail. And please like and share my videos. Robert buys a car. It's my little brother. His name is Robert, for $8,000. And at the end of each year, the value of the car has decreased by 10%. Of its value at the beginning of that year. Calculate the value of the car at the end of the 7 years. Okay, well, there's several ways of doing this. We want to write down some workings. So we're going to start with $8,000. And at the end of 1 year, it's going to be worth 90%, so 0.9 of the year before. And he's going to do that 7 years, so times 0.9 for 2 years, times 0.9 for 3 years, up till 7 years. That's how you'll find the right answer. If you want to write it down a little bit more elegantly, I think I have to say elegantly, 0.9 to the power 7. It should be less anyway than the 8,000. Do you agree with that? It should be less. 1, 2, 3. 8,000 times 0.9 to the power 7. Which equals, write everything down, 3,826.3752. So I'm going to give that to 2 decimal places because it's money, 26 and 38 cents. Bummer. He lost a lot of money, but hopefully enjoyed riding it for 7 years. The scale on the map is 1 to 50,000. So 1 centimeter on the map is, or are 50,000 centimeters in real life. The area of a field on the map is 1.2 centimeters square. Calculate the area of the actual field in square kilometers. All right, only 2 points. Okay, interesting. There are many ways of doing this. This is what I do. I draw a quick rectangle. There we go. That's going to be my map, and the area of the field is 1.2. So that would be 1 centimeter, and that will be 1.2 centimeters. Because that will give me an area of 1.2 centimeters on my map. Okay, now in real life, this 1 centimeter is actually 50,000 centimeters. So I'm going to change that now to 50,000 centimeters. And the a comma, I believe, for you guys, 50,000. And the 1.2 centimeters on my map, times that by 50,000 to get the actual amount of centimeters in real life. So 1.2 times 50,000 equals, what is that, 60,000. All right, there we go. Centimeters. So in real life, that field is going to measure 50,000 centimeters by 60,000 centimeters. But they want the area in kilometers, kilometers squared. So let me first, before I find the area, convert those centimeters into kilometers. So to go to meters, from centimeters first to meters, I divide it by 100. 100 centimeters in a meter. And then to go to kilometers, then I divide it by 1,000, because you have 1,000 meters in the kilometers. So I'm going to do 60,000 first divided by 100. Those are my meters divided by 1,000. So that is 0.6 kilometer, those 60,000 centimeters. The same for the 50,000. I'm going to divide the 50,000 divided by 100 and then divided by 1,000. And that is, well, I should know that, but it's been a long day, so I'm just going to be lazy, use my calculator, divided by 1,000, that's 0.5. Yes, of course, that's 0.5. So it's going to give you 0.5 kilometer. And then to find the area, you multiply the length in real life in kilometers, 0.5 times 0.6. The answer for that will be 0.3 kilometers squared. Great, let's go to the next page. Jason receives some money for his birthday. He spends 11/15 of the money and he has $14.40 left. Calculate how much money he received. Well, lucky Jason, getting money for his birthday, and a lot of money as well. But he spends most of it, 11/15. So how much is left? How much of his money is left? Well, that's going to be 1 minus 11 over 15. Oh, my pen. And that is 4 over 15. So 4/15 is still left, and that is the same as $14.40. So how to find the original amount? Well, then I can divide the money that he has left, 1440. I'm going to divide that by 4, which is this 4, and then multiply it by 15. That is going to be the original amount, okay? So let me put that in my calculator, 14.4 divided by 4, and then that answer times 15, and it gives me 54. So he spent most of it. He should have saved perhaps a little bit for later, but yeah, what can you do? He was having a party probably. Calculate the value of x. Come on, guys, this is a right angle triangle, so we're going to use Pythagoras, and we always write down the actual theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then the equal sign, and then we're going to take a pause and we're going to have a look at what is the hypotenuse. That's where students go wrong, because they go too quickly. What is the hypotenuse? It is the 8. Yeah? It is the longest side, but also the side across the 90-degree angle. Okay, so please take a second to look at that properly. 8 squared, write down the hypotenuse first. Then the other two doesn't really matter. 5 squared plus x squared. x squared plus 5 squared, comme ci comme ça, it's all the same, but that 8 squared needs to be on the right side. So x is going to be the square root. You do some minor rearranging. You put the 5 squared to the other side, so minus 5 squared, square root of that. So they always like to see you actually writing that down. So there's 64 minus 25. Not sure why I need a calculator for that, but okay. 39. Square root of that answer equals, and then you write down all the decimals, 6.244997998. Don't think that you don't have to be writing down all the decimals, because you do. 6.24, I mean, you are special, but not that special, and you are the only person that don't have to write down all the decimals. You also write down all the decimals, and then you round to 3 significant figures. That is, by the way, if you want to get a good grade. If you don't, then don't bother. All right, without using your calculator, work out. You must show all your workings and give your answer as a fraction in its lowest terms. Now, of course, you can use a calculator still, but they want to see the workings. But using your calculator may inspire you how to do that. Several things, or several methods. I'm going to make a top-heavy fraction, the first one. So that is going to be 9 over 4 minus 11 over 12. We want to show as many workings as possible. We don't want to skip any step. So I've done 2 times 4 plus 1. 9 over 4 minus 11 over 12. And that is the same as, now to subtract fractions, the denominator needs to be the same. So I'm going to put here times 3 times 3, because 4 times 3 is 12. So then the denominator is going to be the same. 27 over 12 minus 11 over 12. Denominators are the same, so that's going to give me, what is that, 16 over 12. In its lowest term, 16 over 12, you can get 1 whole out, so that's 1. You have 4 over 12 left, which is 1 over 3. Now that is also the answer that your calculator will give you if you just plug it in. So write it down anyway. Just make sure that you show as many workings as you can. And check my website, explainingmaths.com. I have loads of videos about working with fractions. And of course, everything is for free. Let's go to the next slide, I should say. See you there. Right, looking at this, 3 points. It's not a right angle triangle, probably a sine or a cosine rule. Calculate the value of y. So indeed, it's not a right angle triangle, so don't use Pythagoras, don't use ordinary trig. We'll have to use, let me see, we have its teammate and we have a full team, so the sine rule. No worries at all, because you are expecting the question, so you're going to say y over the sine of its teammate, 39 degrees, equals, and because you started with the length y, you're going to start with 12.4 over the sine of 74 degrees. There we go. And then you can write down y equals 12.4 over sine of 74 degrees times the sine of 39 degrees. And then you grab your calculator. 12.4 divided by the sine of 74. Make sure your calculator is set to degrees, by the way, equals times the sine of 39 equals. Write down all the decimals. Yes, you too. 11805243. And then you round to 3 significant figures. 8.12. Fantastic. Yashid and her brother collected stamps. What a beautiful name, Yashid. Fantastic. When Yashid gives her brother 1% of her stamps, she has 2,475 stamps left. Calculate how many stamps Yashid had originally. So this is for 3 points. That is not a typical percentage question. Well, it is, because you are also going to get one. But it is the more, how do you say that, extended percentage question. Because we're not going to find 1% of this amount. No, that would be too easy. This is reverse percentage. Check my site, explainingmaths.com. I explain reverse percentages in many videos, because you will get it. What do you need to realize? You need to realize that those 2,475 stamps are 99% of the original amount. So divide that by 99. Why is it 99%? Because she gave away 1%, so she's got 99% left. So to find the original amount, I now times that by 100%. Okay. Now my common sense tells me that my answer should be more than 2,475 because she gave some away. How much did she have before? Times 100, 2,500 stamps. Now if you would now find 1% of 2,500, and if you would subtract that, then indeed you get 2,475 as an answer. Yeah, but this is not the percentage of an amount, this is reverse percentage. Fantastic. Factorize. So several questions you need to ask yourself when factoring. First of all, is there a common factor? No. Is it grouping? No. Is it a difference of two squares? Yes. 9, 3 squared, w squared minus difference 100, which is 10 squared. All these square numbers, it's for 1 point. Indeed, because it is really not difficult. And if you need to practice this, ladies and gentlemen, you need to become a robot when it comes to factoring. Okay, if your mom or dad or whoever takes care of you wakes you up 2 o'clock in the night, factorize 9w squared minus 100, 3w plus 10, 3w minus 10. Okay, must be like that. Also, if you want, especially when you want to be successful at A level, you need to be able to factorize. Fantastic. Moving on. Next one. Clearly, everything must be shouting to you already. It is grouping 4 terms. It's such a special way of factoring, if you like. It is fantastic. It's really like, oh, grouping. We look at the first group, take out the common factor. Yeah. So we look at the first group, those first 2 terms, take out the common factor of them, which is p, and then in those brackets you get m plus n. There you go. And then look at the second group, the second 2 terms, and take out the common factor there, and then you should get m plus n in the brackets too. So make sure to get rid of minus 6q, and then in my brackets I'll get m plus n. Yeah, so it must be m plus n and m plus n. If you have a minus sign here somehow, you need to get rid of it. So what is my final answer? This is for 2 points, and I already earned 1 point now. It's going to be m plus n times p minus 6q, or p minus 6q times m plus n. Fantastic. Like and share if it was useful, guys. We will move on, but I really would like you to do that so I can help your friends too. Let's find out what the next page brings us. So I see a piece of the pie or some pizza. My wife made pizza this afternoon, lovely, because it's quite expensive to buy pizza in Brunei, so she makes it every Friday, and it's always a treat. Anyway, we see some pizza here. The diagram shows a sector, yeah, a part of the area of a circle, a sector of a circle with radius 15 centimeters. And we also see that angle 26 degrees. Calculate the perimeter of this sector. Beautiful question. They could do 2 things. What is sector area? Or 3 things actually. What is sector area? They could ask what is the arc length? What is the length of that piece of the entire circumference? But now they're asking the perimeter of the sector. So that is going to be 15 plus 15 plus the arc length. Okay. Now what is the arc length? Theta over 360 times 2 pi r. Because the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, but you're not interested in the entire circumference, you're only interested in 26th out of 360th part of the circumference. 360 degrees in total, and we have 26 of them. For 3 points, so we want to write down some workings. By the way, 3 points, that doesn't mean it's difficult, it just means you got to write down some workings. 2 times pi times the radius, there we go. So that is going to be the arc length, that's this part. I'm going to say plus 15 because we have 2 times the radius. So always read carefully what they want, the perimeter of the sector. Now I'm going to grab my calculator, and hopefully you're doing the same thing, because we are also, or we should also be able to do this properly in our calculator, and that is difficult for many. 26 divided by 360 equals times 2 equals times pi equals times 15 equals. You hear how many times I use the equal button. Plus 30 equals S. No, I don't have to do SD. All right, got my answer here. Write down all the decimals. 36.80678408, and then we round three significant figures, 36.8. 17, y is directly proportional to the square of x minus 1, and y is 63 when x is 4. Find the value of y when x is 6. Direct proportion, inverse proportion, has a very specific way of solving it, and you know you're going to get the question. So if you practice it a couple of times, go to my site explainingmaths.com, practice it a couple of times, and you know exactly what to do. First of all, you're going to start, and that's what you'll learn on my website, start by writing down y equals kx. That k stands for a constant, and we first need to find the constant before we can actually answer the question. Y, it says, is directly proportional to the square of x minus 1. So after writing this down, kx, I'm going to make it appropriate for this situation, because they say the square of x minus 1. So x minus 1 squared, not just x. And they say y is 63 when x is 4. So step by step, direct proportion, so kx rather than x over k for inverse kx, to the square x minus 1 squared, y equals 63, x equals 4. So step by step, I walk through their language. 63 equals k, 4 minus 1 squared. Because I'm substituting that now to find the value of k. I'll continue here. 63 equals k, 4 minus 1 is 3 squared, so that is going to be 9. So 63 divided by 9 is 7. Great. So the actual formula looks like this. Y equals 7x minus 1 squared. Okay, and now we found the formula, and then we're going to find the value of y when x is 6. So the final thing you need to do is substitute 6 for x. So that is 5 squared, 25 times 7, 175. So there's quite some workings involved. That's why you get 3 points for it. But it's always the same steps. In inverse proportion, it's k divided by x. But you have to find the value of k first. And then you plug in in this case, 6 for x to find the actual value. Okay, so go to my site. I'll say it again, explainingmaths.com. I explain direct and inverse proportion in much more detail than what I'm doing now. A rectangle has length 5.8 and width 2.4 centimeters, both correct to one decimal place. Calculate the lower and upper bound of the perimeter. Okay, so we do not find a perimeter and take the upper and lower bound of that. No, we need to take the upper and lower bound of the dimensions and then find the perimeter. What do I mean with that? Let's make a quick sketch. So we have a rectangle, 5.8, and here 2.4. Correct to one decimal place. Now, how do I find upper and lower bounds? I take correct to one decimal place. I write down the next decimal, 5.9, and the previous decimal, 5.7. And then the lower bound is going to be exactly between those. It's going to be the lower bound. So that will be 5.75. And if you're not sure how to find 5.75, you can always add the 2 and then divide by 2. That's the lower bound. The upper bound is exactly between these two, upper bound. So that will be 5.85. Same thing for 2.4. So the next decimal, 2.5. The previous decimal, 2.3. So the lower bound is going to be 2.35 and the upper bound 2.45. To find now the lower bound of the perimeter, I take the lower bound here and the lower bound there, and then I find the perimeter. So 5.75, I'll write it down. So for the lower bound, it's going to be 2 times 5.75 plus 2 times 2.35. Why 2 times? Because you have 1 here plus 1 there. 2.35 plus 2.35. So let me 5.75 plus 2.35 equals times 2 equals lower bound is going to be 16.2. So 16.2 over there. And for the upper bound, you do the exact same thing, but now with the values of the upper bound. So I'm not going to write it down. You do write it down, yeah. But 5.85 plus 2.45 times 2, yeah, or you just do 5.85 plus 2.45 plus 5.85 plus 2.45, 16.6. So 16.6. And I'd like to stress again, you do not take the lower or upper bound from that final answer of the perimeter. No, you only do it at the start of each individual dimension. All right, next slide. Question 19 already. Beautiful question here. Solve the quadratic equations, show all your workings and give your answer correct to 2 decimal places for 4 points. Not difficult, but workings are involved which you need to show. You got to make sure it's equal to 0. Sometimes you have to do some rearranging yourself first. And make sure it's in the right order, x squared, x, and then the number. Now, I have to show my workings, but I'm still going to use my calculator to start with. So I'm going to write down the answers first, because even if you have a blackout or you have no idea what to do, just write down those 2 answers. You will get 1 or 2 points for that. So I go to mode 5, equations, 3 for a quadratic. And then A is 5. So make sure you know what I'm doing now on my calculator. I'm solving it, the quadratic, in my calculator. And then I round correctly to 3 significant figures. 1.58 my first solution is, and the other one minus 0.38. And that's not a good minus sign. Now that's better. Okay, 2 decimal places, don't forget that. And now I'm going to show my workings, okay? But at least I have those answers there already. I'm going to say x equals minus b, so minus 6. So take care of those signs. The b usually is a negative on the exam, because they want to make sure you do that properly. Minus b, so minus 6, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 6 squared. Put that in brackets, ladies and gentlemen, if you put it in your calculator. Minus 6 squared minus 4 times a times c. And all of that divided by 2 times a, so 2 times 5. There we go. We have to show as many workings as we can. So 6 plus or minus the square roots. Oh dear, that is an email I'm collecting. I don't know if you guys see that, but I do. Work out what is in a square root. So minus 6 squared, that's 36. And that's going to be plus, oh wait, go back, 36 plus 60, so it's going to be 96, and all of that divided by 10. So those are my workings. Now to check my answers and to check whether those workings are correct, I'm going to plug in my calculator. 6 plus the square root of 96 equals, divided by 10 equals, and that is 1.58, and indeed that is what I had. And the other one, 6 minus the square root of 96 equals, divided by 10 equals, minus 0.38, and that's what I have. Yeah, so make sure you're able to put that in a calculator. Many of you go wrong there, so don't be part of that group. Moving on now, a car passes through a checkpoint at time t is 0 seconds, traveling at 8 meters per second. So 8 meters per second, sorry. It travels at this speed for 10 seconds. The car then decelerates at a constant rate until it stops when t is 55. On the grid it says draw the speed time graph. So it's a speed time graph, okay? Not a distance time, but a speed time. So it's traveling at t0 already at 8 meters per second, and it's going to do that for 10 seconds. So from 0 to 10 it's traveling with a constant speed. So that is a horizontal line. Now I'm going to do that on the tablet, and that is absolutely horrible. Yeah, but I'm using a ruler. You should be exactly on that line. So I'm not going to use a ruler, but you should have a horizontal line there where it says 8. And you use a sharp pencil, not like me, this ugly, thick line. Okay, but it's difficult on a tablet. So again, it is a speed time graph, so a horizontal line, not going up or anything like that. No, constant speed. The car then decelerates at a constant rate and stops when t is 55. So put a point there, t55. Now I really have to try it with a ruler, and it's probably going to look absolutely horrible. It is absolutely horrible. But you should finish exactly at that point, okay? With a nice, beautiful, straight line like that, okay? So I do apologize, but I'm doing it on a tablet. Calculate, it says now, the total distance traveled by the car passing through the checkpoint. Now the total distance, how can you find it? That is the area, ladies and gentlemen, underneath the speed time graph. That's going to give you your distance. Several ways of doing it. You could, for instance, break it up in a rectangle and a triangle, or you can look at the entire trapezium all at once. I'm going to look at the entire trapezium. So that is the sum of the two parallel sides divided by 2 times the height. So I have, this one is 10 and this one is 55. So I'm going to say 10 plus 55, the sum of the two parallel sides divided by 2 times the perpendicular height between them, which is 8. Yeah, but there are several ways of finding that area. Please do wherever you feel comfortable with. 65 divided by 2 equals times 8 equals 260 is the answer there. Great, let's move on to, which should be one of the last questions. Please still like and share if it is useful, and my website explainingmaths.com for all my other free resources. Question 21, clearly a question about similarity. Look at these two jugs. They're mathematically similar, they say. And what is similarity? It means corresponding angles are the same and corresponding sides are in proportion. One is an enlargement of the other, if you like. Find the value of x. So we want to know the width of the larger one. And just tell yourself that that x should be therefore larger than 7.2. First, we're going to find the scale factor. You'll find two sides that are corresponding, and that is going to be 25 and 15. So you divide the two. So the scale factor, 25 divided by 15, 5 over 3. Yeah, so don't say 1.7 or 1.6, just leave it as 5 over 3. That's the scale factor. So what is x? That is going to be that corresponding sides of the other jug times the scale factor. And how many times is it bigger? So times 7.2, and the answer therefore is 12. Now usually with similarity you also get a question involving area or volume. Yeah, then you have to do the scale factor squared or the scale factor cubed. Check my site where I explain that, explainingmaths.com. The diagram shows two glasses that are mathematically similar. The height of the larger glass is 16 centimeters and a volume of 375. Okay, I'm just going to put that there, 375. Fantastic. The height of the smaller glass is y. Probably going to need to find that. And the volume is 192, so we know the volume. Calculate the value of y. There are different methods of doing this, but what do? I say, well, the volume of the smaller glass times the scale factor cube, what I just said, is going to give me the volume of the larger one. So let me write that down as an equation, that 192 times the scale factor cubed should be 375. And therefore that scale factor is going to be the cube root of 375 over 192. That's two steps in one. So first I do 375 divided by 192 equals, and then I'm going to do the cube roots of that answer. And then I got a scale factor of 5 over 4. So I know the scale factor 5 over 4. I tell myself y needs to be less than 16. Hence I have to do 16 divided by 5 over 4 or times it by 4 over 5. Whatever you prefer, whatever your teacher taught you, but you're going to get the same answer as I do, which is 12.8. Question 22 already. Let's find out what that one is about. Although you should already know because we have checked at the start of the exam. We always take a minute to go through the exam. But let's find out what it was again. Question 22. The table, question 22, shows information about the numbers of pets owned by 24 students. Okay, now before continuing, let's just have a look at that table. So 0 pets, 1 student. Oh, poor student, no pets. 1 pet, 2 students. 6 pets, 3 students. Imagine that, 6 pets. Who's got 6 pets? Well, maybe you do. Let me know what kind of pets you have. But it says calculate the mean number of pets. 3 points. So it's a frequency table. You want to show your workings. You're going to do 0, times 1 in brackets plus 1 times 2 plus 2 times 3, because you need to realize what that table means. Wait, plus, I can't do two things at the same time today. 4 times 7 plus 5 times 3 plus 6 times 3 divided by, and I'll continue in a minute, because I said, what does that table mean? This means 0 pets, so basically a 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, sorry, 6, 6, 6. So you have all this data, but they have nicely organized that in a table for you. Now, before I divide, I want to ask myself, what do I estimate the mean amount of pets to be? So roughly 3 or 4, isn't it? 3 or 4. Because some of you are going to divide this by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just doesn't make sense, because then your answer is going to be like, I don't know, like 20. You don't divide it by 7, no, you divide it by 24, because you actually have 24 pieces of information in that table. So that is going to be 0 plus 2 plus 6. I'm working out those brackets now, plus 15. Do that properly, ladies and gentlemen. 28 plus 15 plus 18 equals, divided by 24, it says 3.5. Poor little rabbit, which has been cut in half, but okay, 3.5. That's the mean average. Jennifer joins the group of 24 students, and when the information for Jennifer is added to the table, the new mean is 3.44. So it goes down a little bit. Calculate the number of pets that Jennifer has. Okay, so the new mean, so it was 3.5. So I have, if you like, 24 pieces of information of 3.5 plus, that's, what's her name, Jennifer, so let's say plus Jennifer's, divided by now 25 students, is going to equal 3.44. Yeah, so all these pieces of information plus Jennifer's divided by 25 is 3.44. So if I'll just do that in my calculator, because I'm going to go now, I have a meeting. But if I do 3.44 times 25 equals 86, yeah, and I'm going to minus that. No, okay, I will write it down. So I've got, 3.5 times 24 plus j equals 86. And then j is going to be 86 minus 3.5 times 24. So minus 3.5 times 24. And then she has 2 pets, which makes sense, less than the original mean, because the mean went down, so that means that Jennifer should have less pets than the mean. I'm going to a meeting now, so the last question I'll do in a few minutes, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye. Right, final question. I'm back from the meeting. Tree diagram. So it's going to be something about probability. A box contains 6 red pencils and 8 blue pencils, it says. A pen is chosen at random and not replaced. That is important information. So they take the pencil out and then put it somewhere else. And then a second pencil is chosen at random. Complete the tree diagram. Okay, so together this always needs to add up to 1. Because there's a 100% chance, it's certain, that you either get a red or a blue pen. So 6 over 14 means 8 over 14 here had together 1, which makes sense because there are 8 blue ones out of 14 in total. That's the first one. And then if you have taken a red one and you do not replace it, then you will have 5 red ones left out of 13, because 1 pencil is not returned. And again, this is added together, 13 over 13, so 1. And if you first get a blue one, then you'll have 7 left out of 13 here, and still 6 red ones, but now out of 13 there. Fantastic. Calculate the probability that both pens are red. So we can use that tree diagram now to get red and then again a red one. So that will be for 2 points. I want to show some workings. 6 over 14 times 5 over 13. And you grab your calculator and say 6 divided by 14 equals times 5 by 13 in your calculator 15 over 19 1, or 30 over 182, I believe. 30. You do not have to simplify with probability, so you can just leave it as 30 over 182. But if your calculator simplifies it automatically, it will say 15 over 91. Then the last one, at least one of the pencils is red, and whenever you see or read at least, some alarm bells should go off. One of the pencil is red, so that could be red, 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 blue, blue, red. So the only one that is not allowed is blue, blue. So how do you calculate this? The easiest way is to do 1 minus the chance of a blue one followed by a blue one, because that is the only branch of the tree diagram that is not allowed. So 1 minus 8 over 14 times 7 over 13. So 8 divided by 14 times 7 divided by 13 equals, so that is 1 minus 4 over 13. And that is going to give you then 9 over 13, which is equivalent, by the way, is 126 over 182. Okay, but your calculator simplifies that automatically, but you don't have to. So that is the final answer. So 1 minus blue, blue is going to give you the same chances, at least one pencil is red, or alternatively, you could do 6 over 14 times 5 over 13 plus 6 over 14 times 8 over 13 plus 8 over 14 times 6 over 13. And that is also going to give you the answer 9 over 13. Yeah? But this is a little bit more elegant and quicker, especially if you have another branch here, then you really, when it says at least, you want to do 1 minus chance of that one chance that is not allowed. I believe that was it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope it was useful. We've done the entire paper. You'll find my paper also on my website, explainingmaths.com, together with the entire curriculum explained in all sorts of videos, everything for free. So have a look there, like and share everything. I really appreciate it if you could do that in return. And I wish you a very pleasant day and all the best. Bye-bye.